All right, hello everybody. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some things that ultralight backpackers do that would be useful for hunters, backcountry photographers, anybody who recreates and spends a lot of time in the outdoors to keep in mind and maybe to test out or things like that. First thing, why would you want to be more ultralight as a hunter? It helps the mileage that you need to cover. It helps keep your pack more compact, which lets you move quieter and easier through the forest, whatever terrain you're traveling through. It's going to make packing out the elk, meat, deer, whatever it may be, a lot easier because you're going to have less total pack weight. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh, this guy is gonna tell me go out and buy all this new stuff. You know, there are certainly ways that by purchasing a new item you can lower your weight by a lot. Hopefully most of the things that I'm gonna be bringing up in this video, some of them definitely are in that category, but there's also, if you stick around, tons of things that you can do and learn that have zero or very little cost. I'm talking under $5 to reduce your total pack weight by a significant margin, depending on where you're starting from. Well, first things first, trekking poles. These are going to help you when you're just traversing in the mountains. They're going to help you if you need to do a big stream crossing. They're going to help when your pack weight gets super heavy when you're packing out an animal. They can be useful as a monopod for setting your binoculars on top of and using as a support for glassing. They can be used as a gun stand. If you rig them like so, you don't need to bring an extra bipod. Sure, it takes longer to set up and things, but there's lots of redundancy in the trekking poles. Another thing is I use my trekking poles as my tent support. I use a single trekking pole tent. I like the redundancy of having two poles or being able to find a stick if I can't find two poles. I have had tents that have a pole structure snap on me, and it's very difficult to set them up or even use the tent once that happens unless you have pole splints, which are another thing that you'll have to carry to repair. And it reduces overall weight when using the trekking poles, which you're already bringing as a tent support. All right, so the second thing, I'll try and keep this as quiet as possible, are big plastic bags. One of these is large enough so that it's a pack liner. So what I do is I put this on the inside of my pack the very first thing when I'm packing it up in the morning, and everything that needs to stay dry goes inside this pack liner, and then you twist up the top, fold it down into one side, and everything in there is waterproof. You don't need separate bags or separate dry bags, anything like that, for anything that's in the bottom section of your pack. Some things that I will not pack in here are my tent, my food, because a lot of times it's in waterproof containers already. The second plastic bags that I'm bringing are bread bags. I use these instead of separate camp shoes, and they're so much lighter, so much more compact. And if you get these ones, which are Reynolds oven bags, they're quite durable as well. What I do with these, if my feet have gotten wet throughout the day, then once I get to camp, I will take my shoes and socks off, let my feet completely air out, dry off. I can dry them with some socks or things like that, but I want to make sure they're completely dry. And then if you need to, you can have some foot balm or lotion or something like that, and you can put that with your feet if they're having a really tough time. That way they don't dry out a ton. Put sock on, and then you're going to take this bag and you're going to put it over the sock, and then you're going to slip your shoe on after. You can loosen up the shoe, and this will mean that your feet are going to help dry out your shoes. Dry socks and feet aren't going to get wet. It's much lighter, and it's a really easy way to take good care of your feet without needing separate camp shoes or things like that. Next thing on the list, which is going to be one of the more expensive things that I'm going to mention, and please feel no need to go out and get new gear or things like that just because you see it in this video. As you can see, this is a sleeping bag. It's fully enclosed, but what's different about this is a false bottom sleeping bag. Here in the bottom, there's no insulation. That's because as you're sleeping on your insulation, this gets compressed and so it doesn't actually keep you warm at all. All the insulation is trapped air pockets that your body can heat up. That's the principle of all insulation. Down, synthetic, puffy, fleece, anything, it's just trapping air to let your body warm up the air. Now, this is one option, but there are not very many false bottom sleeping bags around. Quilts are another great option, and these are going to reduce your overall pack weight and volume by quite a bit. This is best for me because I like to feel really tucked in, but it's going to be a little bit less versatile than a quilt. Another thing on sleep systems, it is my personal belief that you should get a quilt or sleeping bag, something around the 30-degree comfort rating. That way, if you need to sleep warmer, it's really easy to still take that, and it shouldn't weigh too much more than like 20 ounces. And if you need to sleep colder, it's really easy to get other insulation pieces like puffy pants, puffy jacket, down socks, and you're going to need those anyways. If you're hunting, if you're doing a lot of glassing early in the morning in October and things like that, it's going to be cold. You're going to want those layers, and adding those to a sleep system that's already around 30 degrees can help you push it down a lot lower. All right, so the next thing that I have is a lightweight stove system. So this is a cold soak container that I just took out. This is if I'm not heating up food or anything while I'm out there. It's really simple because I don't have to carry fuel or anything like that. And if I'm not too worried about what I'm eating, how I'm eating it, if it's super cold while I'm out there, this is the absolute lightest, simplest, easiest way to go. Cold soaking is definitely not for everybody. So what are the other options? Another option is isobutane. It's very fuel efficient. This can last for quite a few days, especially if you're not making hot drinks all the time. Most of you are going to be familiar with this, but there's a high likelihood that you're using a jet boil or these intercontained systems that have large heat exchanges that are really bulky, really heavy. The only pro is that they're very fuel efficient and the fact that they boil water very quickly. Now, for that increase in fuel efficiency, if you're going on a hunt that is 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe it's worth it, because if you ration your fuel right, you'll be able to bring less fuel, less containers, and thus less weight. But at the same time, you're adding a lot of excess weight to the cook system. If you want isobutane, but you don't want to bring a jet boil, the other option is a simple stove like this. This is the MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe. This is a pretty good one, and honestly on the heavier side because it has a built-in piezo igniter and has a little bit more of a wind cover than other ones do. Now, the thing is that with these that are a little bit more exposed, you are going to need to find a little bit more shelter wherever you're heating up your water, cooking your food, whatever that may be. Another option for cooking while you're out on the backcountry trips is alcohol stoves. Alcohol is nice because it's better for nature. It's easier to get this from distilled corn or things like that. And you can bring just the amount of fuel that you need, and you don't go through all of these metal containers that pretty much just get thrown away, largely are not recycled. This one has this small Kojin container, and this one has fiberglass filling in it, so it cannot spill or things like that. My lighter, which is just a Bic Mini. And the last thing is just this very simple pot stand that I put on the ground to elevate my pot off the alcohol stove. Another option that I did not mention because I do not have a whole lot of experience with it is if you're using a wood stove when you're camping. It's going to be pretty heavy, and at the same time it'll warm up your tent a lot overnight if you continue stoking it throughout the night, which can be a pain because you can be waking up and going to bed quite a lot. But you can use that as your fuel system as well, which is going to be wood, and so you're not carrying any excess fuel. And if you're using a simple pot, you can always put that, heat up your water, and it's nice because it's dual use scenario. I think this is really only useful when you're getting into really late season hunts, November, December, of course, depending on where you are in the world. The next tip that I have is to not use Nalgene's. Nalgene's are super heavy, and the opening on them really isn't compatible with very many filters or things like that unless you get a special adapter. This is a Migo Mazama bottle. It's still on the heavier side compared to a smart water bottle, but it is easier to clean. It has a wide opening, and so it's really easy to get electrolytes or hot drinks, things like that, in and out. You can just toss it in the dishwasher and it's completely safe. It's got a really good squeeze factor, but the best thing about it is the fact that it is completely compatible with most standard water filters on the market. This way you can use your water bottle to help backflush filters, to help push water through the filters, or things like that. This one is going to be plenty durable. Really, the only reason that I would be taking an Nalgene out into the backcountry is if it's winter and I need it because I need to have a koozie on the water bottle. The next thing to look at changing for a more ultralight system is your bathroom kit. In here, I have everything that I need no matter how long I'm in the backcountry for. I have this, which is a small backcountry bidet that just goes on the top of my water bottle and is what I use instead of toilet paper to get clean afterwards. I use that in conjunction with some soap and a trowel to be digging proper cat holes that leave no trace. You can just take the amount of soap that you need for a trip. It is much cleaner, you smell less, and it takes up much less volume than taking toilet paper on your trips. There are many resources out there that tell you how to do the backcountry bidet system. Also, if you really don't want to, you don't need to buy that bidet cap. There's a way that you can just take your water, pour it on the small of your back, and clean it that way. All right, so now that we've gone through most of the gear, let's talk about some things that aren't buying new stuff, but it's looking at the kit that you currently have and reducing what you have in order to reduce volume, weight, and make it easier to travel through the backcountry. Number one is anytime that you come back from a trip, take out everything that you brought and see what you used and didn't use. A lot of times there's going to be some stuff that you didn't use that was maybe excess for the conditions that you were in, or maybe it's just not necessary and you don't need to bring it again in the future. This is the number one way to help personalize your own pack to your needs and see what you use and don't use. There are, of course, some things that we don't really want to compromise on, like first aid kit, water purification, rain gear, things like that that you might not always use, but are really useful and can be life-saving when you do need them. One of the easiest ways to drop a ton of pack weight while out there is water weight. Make sure that you're doing efficient e-scouting before you go out to see where water sources are, or do shakedown trips out to where you think there might be possible water sources to see how reliable they are. Carrying less water as you're walking is going to make your pack significantly lighter. Go on a trip outside of your house, carry your pack, and take 1 liter of water with you. See how much you drink when you're going out from your house. Once you get to 500 milliliters, you can turn back around. This gives you a rough time that you can last with that water. Now, of course, it changes during weather, conditions, effort, things like that, but it's something that you should really experiment with. The other tip regarding water is to anytime that you're at a water source, you should camel up. So you should drink as much water as is comfortable for you, then carry the minimum amount possible. This will help extend the distance that you can go while carrying minimal water. Just for reference, 1 liter of water is 2.2 pounds. So even if you're carrying only 2 liters of water, that is 5 pounds, almost, which is very significant. The next thing that you can do is make sure that you're not having one big lunch throughout the day and that you're slowly snacking throughout the day, at least while you're on the move. This creates a lack of your insulin spiking, which makes you more tired. And if you're eating nuts and summer sausage and things that are really easy to eat on the go, then you can be moving more efficiently and it's not quite so time consuming while you're out there. At the same time, I realize this is not for everybody, and whatever gets you out into the backcountry and enjoyable while you're out there, that's what you should do. If possible, you should weigh everything that you have and make a comprehensive pack list using Pack Wizard or Lighter Pack. This way you can see the breakdown of all of your items, see what's weighing the most, what's weighing the least, and the things that impact your comfort the most on trail. Comfort on trail and in the backcountry is extremely personal, and you should find out what compromises are ideal for you to make. I know that I don't like to compromise on my rain gear, but I am perfectly willing to compromise on my sleeping pad because I do not find that a super big lofty sleeping pad helps me sleep very much and increases my pack weight by quite a bit. All right, and the last tip that I have is reduce redundancy when at all possible. If you have 2 items that are fulfilling a similar task that is not life relating, then maybe you should drop one of those items. For example, using a bunch of small sacks to store all of your gear is redundant. Everything is just going inside your backpack, and as long as you pack it the same every single time, you're going to get used to knowing where everything is. And if you stayed till the end, just another little tip is to watch gear lists of people that are way more ultralight than you are. I'm talking in the 8-pound, 7-pound, 6-pound, maybe even 5-pound base weight range, and you can see how minimal their kits are. This is not saying that you should be as minimal as them, but a lot of times when they're reducing their packs to such small sizes and weights, it means there are things that you can learn from them that would be really hard to learn by yourself. All right, well, that's everything that I have in today's video. Please let me know if you enjoyed or if there's anything that you'd like me to go further in depth on. I don't want this to be me just talking at you, but I'd love for this to be more of a dialogue. So if you have other recommendations for hunters or things like that, or video ideas that you'd like me to make in the future, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed.